Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Belief Cast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
And we are back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Inspires Belief Cast. I know I say this every time, but thank you so much for tuning in and for believing in me. It means the world to me. I'm so grateful for the many, many amazing people who have come on this show. It blows my mind how amazing people are. Like, I think people are astonishing. I really do. And we are so uplifted and edified by their resilience and their courage and their strength and overcoming some really difficult things. And today's going to be no different. We're in for a treat. Before I introduce our guest, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Craig Swap and Associates, Wasatch Recovery, Maury Nutrition, Thread Wallets. And then the music you heard at the beginning and the end of this podcast is by my good friend Paul Cardall. He's an award-winning pianist. He's got 25 million active listeners. His story is unbelievable as well, and he's been on the show as well. So I'm thankful that he's willing to let us use his music, and he doesn't normally do that. You just can't just do that to someone who's a Grammy Award winner. So I'm thankful for that, and it really makes this podcast special in my opinion. So love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And today we are joined with Julie Janke. Julie, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes, we've known each other for, I guess it's been 9 years now that we just talked. I was blowing my mind. Like, I worked a little bit with your son on some things way back when, and it's so cool to hear that he's doing amazing. And same with your daughter. They're doing great. And,
yeah, thank you.
But it's an honor to have you on my show, honestly.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are the publisher of the Mill Creek City Lifestyle magazine.
I am.
And it's a beautiful magazine.
Thank you.
Like, it really is top notch. Like, it is, you can tell you really spend some time and effort making this look amazing.
I do. Thank you.
And the articles are well written. It's got substance to it.
I appreciate that a lot. It's my baby. It's my new baby, I guess, now that my babies are out of the house.
Right.
But you know, it feels like a soul mission for me because gosh, I'm already getting emotional, Todd.
That's good. That's good though.
I'm already getting emotional. But no, I do. I put so much thought and purpose and passion and heart into every issue. You know, the letter that I write in the very beginning is just kind of to set the stage of like what the audience is going to, you know, get into with that issue. But it really is my love letter, my hope and desire to connect the community in a meaningful way that really does inspire, you know, a well-lived life, a better life, you know, things like that.
I love that you're getting emotional because you that's one of the things that makes me glad that I even know you and that you were willing to be on this show, because you have a big heart. You have a lot of compassion because of what you've been through in your life. Like, truly, you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. I love the way you carry yourself. And that's why I, initially reached out even a few weeks ago. And I really appreciate just your example of resiliency. Like,
Thank
it
you.
truly is amazing.
I appreciate that a lot.
You bet.
There's strong people like you, though, that are powerful leaders, that are humble giants, I would say, that also you kind of cling to a little bit when you're but look at what he's overcome. And I think that is the power of resiliency, right? Is that there's these great people across the community or whatever that you start to believe in yourself because they believed in themselves and they keep getting up every day and doing it. So it's just an honor to be in the place that I am right now.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's a blessing.
Well, before we get to how you got here, let's start back. Tell us a little bit about your childhood, maybe where you grew up and, kind of the things you did as a young girl and kind of how you carried yourself back then.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's a big question.
Talk about a little while ago, right? You know what? Yeah. So little kid, obviously I was, second oldest of 6 girls, and I would say in a nutshell for me, I loved to be outside, was very active, always wanted to be on my bike, hiking, playing some kind of sports. Yeah. I just loved being outside. In fact, to this day, well, not really to this day, but I mean, when I was younger, as you get punished because you're, a kid and you don't know any better. My mom would always say, would you like a spanking or to be grounded? I'm like, just give me a spanking so I can get it over with and just go back outside and play.
Yeah.
So she used to always kind of laugh about that. My sisters, and so she'd say, no, I'm going to put you in timeout. I'm like, no,
You're like,
that's
no.
like worse torture.
Right. Now you played, it was softball, and I think your dad was the coach?
Yeah. So I played, so I was originally born in Idaho. And then when
Okay.
I was 8, my family moved to St. George, and my dad was my softball coach, and he did that, I think 2 or 3 years, but it was really fun. It was just like our little thing. I still to this day remember making, our little egg sandwiches in the morning and putting them in my mitt and, wrapped in a napkin and literally like my mitt smelled like egg sandwiches forever, but it was just fun. And it was just like our time together. It was first thing in the morning, the sun is still rising, and would go off and play ball. And it was really special time with my dad, and we bonded a lot. And
that's awesome.
So
boy, egg sandwiches, that brings back some memories.
right.
It's been years since I've had an egg sandwich, but I remember when I was younger, they seemed to be the thing.
They were the thing. It was like, and it was just regular toast,
right.
and it was just like a couple fried eggs, and he'd say, Julie,
so
go make me some egg sandwiches. And, so.
Well, and if you always, if I remember, wanted to be the MVP and
was very driven.
Very driven. Again, I think that plays out who you are today even. So even back then, very driven person, wanting to really be good at what you do.
Yeah.
Right? Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I always have just wanted to be the best. Right. Yeah. So I would work so hard to be the best hitter, to, I was second coach or a second base so that I could, be in the action and just really make sure that I was accountable for how the team did, and I remember at the end of the year, he'd always say, okay, MVP. And I'd be like excited, waiting. It's
gotta be me.
Yeah. And he would say, I can't do that because you're the coach's daughter. And he's like, but you literally are the hardest working person on the team. And
really good for him to recognize that, because it probably would have done maybe more damage to you from the other kids going, she just got it because her dad's the coach. And you know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. So good for him to, doing that hard decision, because that would be hard. I know,
right? Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Well, so I think like most kids, if not every single kid, when we grow up, we struggle with, just who are we? Mm-hmm. We struggle with our self-esteem. Yeah. Am I good enough? Those kind of things. Let's just get right to it. I know, like all of us, we have conflict sometimes with our parents and things like that. Talk a little bit about just kind of some of the struggles, just growing up and going to junior high and high school, and then trying to navigate mom and dad and all that stuff, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just say I had no struggles with my dad. He was like my best friend, I thought. I loved hanging out with him. My mom, on the other hand, we just were like butted heads constantly. Yeah. And I don't know why, I was second oldest, I don't know, but anything that she I don't know, from whether it was, not wanting to listen to her rules, I felt like she was controlling, and, I felt like she was controlling, and I felt like she just didn't want us to do stuff or something. Like we'd, have to clean the house every Saturday, and if you clean the house, then you can, if you clean the house, then you can go play with friends after school or whatever. And we never would get to go play, and I just would get mad at her, and then we'd have like our, prom dates or whatever. And, she just, while she was supportive and happy or whatever, she just had her own little rules, right, for life. Right. And so I think I just grew up constantly pushing her boundaries. Yeah. And she, let me know that I wasn't going to get away with anything. Yeah. And I know that it was out of love, right? Sure. But at my perspective, I thought she was just out for me, controlling, and why doesn't mom love me? She, I never get to do what I want or whatever. Yeah. So.
And I do want to point out, we talked about this before we went live even, it's like how you acknowledge, she was doing the best that she could with what she knew. Yeah. And I think all of us as parents, right, we're winging this thing. You don't really know. And sometimes, unfortunately, when we're struggling as a parent even, we project that sometimes onto our children, and we don't maybe even consciously think we're doing it, but yet that's kind of what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. And you don't really learn until you become a parent, right? And that's when you're like,
oh, now I
sorry,
see.
Mom.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So at a young age, you guys converted to the was it the LDS religion that you guys converted to?
Yeah, I was
and
13 when our
family, at 13, kind of family did the thing, and was that like different for you, or was
so
it
different? Yeah. I mean, to me, it kind of changed the dynamic in our family a lot, because like we said, we'd have chores on Saturday, and then Sunday we'd go play, right? Hiking, biking, exploring, play in the park, do whatever, picnic, always family time. We'd have like big breakfast my dad would make, on Sundays. We'd all hang out with my mom, kind of watch cartoons, whatever. Once the family joined the church, that was over, and it was all about, okay, get some breakfast and whatever you want, cereal, whatever, and get to church,
start doing church things.
And it just felt it felt so different, I mean, I was 13, and so I was like raised in a home where it was about more fun and connecting as a family, and now all of a sudden it was about church. And then we'd come home, and it just felt like we'd kind of be grumpy in a way, and we'd like go off into our own separate bedrooms, wait for food to be cooked, and it just so it just kind of felt like it changed the dynamic for our family a little bit.
And I think I've done a lot of interviews here where people have said the same thing when they they're a young kid and family, whether it's the LDS religion or some other religion,
any church.
It's like for a kid especially, like, what are we doing, almost like what are we doing here? And so your family's kind of doing that, and so you're navigating that through, I guess, early or late junior high and then early high school years. And so how did high school go for you?
Oh gosh, high school. High school was fine. I mean, I wanted to be on the basketball team. I athlete, right?
Still into sports and all that.
Still into sports, And so, but I mean, I would say that I kind of just tried to skate by. I didn't really care, I just wasn't really that excited about high school or passionate. I just was ready for like the next phase of life, right? Like all I started thinking about was like getting out of the house and going to college and moving on with my life, getting outside of my mom's clutches, so that I can't be grounded anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you eventually did that, right? Didn't you move to, was it Boston, I think?
Yeah. So what ended up happening is I started at Dixie College, and then...
You went to Dixie?
I did.
So did I.
Did you really?
I went to Dixie College for a year and a half.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fun. I was there for a whole semester. And,
wow.
I had a return mission, or I had a missionary boyfriend, obviously. So we dated when I was, I don't know, I think we dated about 2 years.
Okay.
And I sent him off on his mission, and I just, you kind of get into a slump, right? And so my mom said, why don't you, my grandpa had just died, and my grandma was, really lonely. And she's like, why don't you move in with grandma for a little bit and, kind of just restart your life or whatever. So I moved back up to Idaho, where I was from, lived with my grandma for a little bit, and then was like, you know what, I need to get back into school. So I ended up going to Rick's College.
Okay.
And so I went to Rick's for a little over a year. And I don't know, I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it. It was kind of like living at home. It was also kind of controlling and rules.
It's a strict setup up there.
Yeah. So it
didn't fit you.
It did not fit me at all. Yeah. In fact, I was dating a guy. My aunt had introduced me to somebody, the guy that I ended up marrying, my ex-husband, but, and we went camping one night, it was no big deal. It was just camping. We loved being outside. It was, nothing happened. We were just camping, but they didn't like that I had an overnight, and so I got on probation, like pretty quick.
Okay.
I think within a month of school, I was on probation.
You rebel.
So that was me.
Yeah. So, I know that you guys ended up getting a divorce, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have to go into all those details,
No.
but I mean, that had to have been a challenging time in your life, because here you are trying to find yourself. You're not really fitting in with the changes in the family.
Yeah.
Talk about that, because I would imagine that was a tough transition for all of it.
Oh, it was hard. I mean, so we did, after, we got married, and everything, and kind of just, to me, I think it was more of a, this feels like it fits a need. I can get out of my mom's clutches
Yeah.
and get married, and then, yay, I can do whatever I want, you
Yeah.
know? So I was 20 when I got married.
Okay.
And I just wanted to get out of the small town kind of thing. So we did. We moved to Boston. Really kind of, I feel like grew up there because there was so much passion with people. And there was I started working at Massachusetts General Hospital in the Women's Cancer Center.
Man.
Fell in love with working with healthcare and with people and the compassion industry, right?
Sure.
And I was like, this is so amazing. I want to do this. And so we really became best friends at the time.
Yeah.
So we were really close, decided to start our family. Obviously, you get blessed with twins. It's not something you really plan.
Right.
But then through the transition of, Boston and the twins and everything, we decided, you know what, we should, move closer to home so we can raise our kids next to their family.
Sure.
We were both raised around our families, and we wanted that for our children.
Yeah.
So we ended up moving to Salt Lake, which is where my family had moved when I was in college, at Rick's. And I don't know, things just got really hard, as life does, right? We had 2 babies. It was right before their first birthday when we moved here. And it was I was on the fence of, do I go back to work? Do I stay, a stay-at-home mom or whatever? But it just didn't feel right to me not to contribute to the household in any way.
Yeah.
So I did started working at St. Mark's Hospital here. And I remember one day my husband came into my work, and he was like, I got fired. And I was like, what? And it just felt like we were barely starting to establish ourselves in Salt Lake.
Right.
I mean, I think we'd been here maybe 9 months, 6 to 9 months. I can't remember exactly, and I just being the nurturer, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Go home. My mom's watching the twins. You take care of yourself and we'll figure this out. There was never a conversation, and he just checked out.
Oh man.
And he never went back to work. And I tried to increase my hours at the hospital. It was 12-hour shifts. But so I was working all the time. And I mean, 12-hour shifts, you're gone from 7 to 7 or 8 to 8, right?
Yeah.
So that's the bulk of the day.
Oh yeah.
So my babies didn't really know me.
Yeah.
And I did that for a while. And I got to the point where I just started I think I just started really resenting him. And I thought, wow, he really checked out when things got hard. And there was no conversation about when he's going to go back to work and everything. And we'd, go to the park on a Sunday or something. And one of the twins would, they were only 1. They were like, whatever.
Yeah.
Trip and fall. Dada. And I would be like, no, mommy's right here.
Yeah.
And they didn't want me. And it ripped my heart out. And I was like, this is not why I had kids, was so that my kids don't know me. And I'm working so hard. And so, after a while, I was like, I need help. You've got to go back to work. I want to be able to be home with the kids more. And he was just like, you've got us. I don't need to. And I was like, I make $12 an hour. I don't really have us. I was 25 at the time.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, so I think it just kind of started the beginning of the end for us. And even though we tried really hard to go to counseling and, make things work, I think what we realized is that I was growing so much as a person, and he didn't really grow so much. He was kind of always just the same person. I think even to this day, he's still kind of the same person that I met. I have changed and gone through so many iterations of myself, just as my beliefs and my spirituality has evolved. And so anyway.
Yeah. I think you mentioned too that you'd be at work and you'd see Disney on
Playhouse
TV,
Disney,
and you'd just start tearing up,
crying.
I miss my babies.
I should be home with my babies right now and not checking people in. Yeah. So
wow. Well, so you obviously go through this divorce, and that had to have been, even though maybe it was the right thing, it was probably still very difficult. I would imagine. It was
hard because I can tell you, you never think you're going to go through divorce, right? That was not my thought. I remember. In fact, it's weird because we had best friends of ours that came to the wedding, and I just remember, if 50% ended in divorce, I was like, oh, well, that's not going to happen to us, because we were like best friends. We had fun together. We would go out biking and hiking and camping and all the things, and I thought, there's no way that'll be us, and they're still married, and we were the statistic.
Wow.
So it was hard. You start to change your beliefs about yourself.
Yeah.
And what you think you believe. And all of a sudden you realize, I need to put more love and compassion towards not just myself, but towards all the other people that have also somehow found themselves in a divorce situation.
You're really big on compassion, aren't you?
I am.
You are. And, I often tell my clients this, Julie, that, and you probably even heard me say it before on the podcast, life happens for you.
Yeah.
And
I
you almost think
believe that.
about what you've gone through, how it's magnified your compassion.
Yeah.
Like
It
you
has.
may not have magnified had you not gone through what you went through.
Well, it's interesting you say that. There's this quote, and I think that through so many hard things that you go through in life, for some people it hardens them, and
Yeah.
it makes them bitter, and they get a chip on their shoulder, and they
Yeah.
put a wall around themselves. And for others, it softens them, and it helps them open up and love each other more. And that's exactly what I have chosen to let happen to me.
Yeah.
Is I now try to love people more and see compassion more, and really you can see hurt in people's eyes. And
Yeah,
when I
for
see
sure.
people, sometimes I'm like, I just want you to feel seen.
Yeah.
I am sorry, whatever you are going through right now that's behind those tears or behind that heaviness
Yeah.
that you're feeling, it's going to be okay. And so
Yeah.
I really just try to love people through,
Yeah.
and compassion's
That's
a big
awesome.
one for
Yeah,
me.
you're great at it.
Thank
Seriously,
you.
you're so good. One of the things that really touched me is you didn't like labeling yourself as a single mom. What would you used to call? How would you
I
label
would
it?
always say I'm an independent mom.
Independent mom.
For some reason,
Yeah.
single mom sounded victim-minded to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't want to be classified in this, well, I'm a single mom, like have pity for me. I was like, I mean, gosh, I remember reading like Dr. Phil was one of my very first self-development books when I was like 25, 26, realizing, oh my gosh, I'm going through a divorce.
Yeah.
And I realized I need to really work on myself. And I don't know, it's just interesting how one of the things that I read was, like my parents, they didn't mean to do anything to me, to hurt me, to
Right.
put me in conflict or
Right.
whatever. They were doing the best that they could. I think we're all just really trying to do the best that we can.
Yeah.
So, was coming around to something that has slipped my
That's
mind.
all right.
Anyway.
Well, and again, I just love the power of words, right? The words
Mm-hmm.
are powerful. And I love that you said, no, I'm an independent mom. I mean, that's powerful,
yeah.
right? And I love how it makes it more, less I'm the victim to, no, I'm progressing, moving forward, and you watch me kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And I just realized what I was coming
Okay,
back to.
sure.
It was realizing like I have power. I'm trying the best I can do, like we're all just really trying our best.
Yeah.
And it's how we label ourselves, which help us have our beliefs about ourselves and whether it empowers us or it limits us.
Yeah.
And so I thought if the more I choose to be independent, the more I choose to just, hey, I made my own bed. I chose to get married young. I chose to, for whatever reason, right? It was for my best good, because had my divorce not happened, I don't know that I'd be the person that I am today.
Yeah, right.
And I'm grateful for that.
Wow.
And I can look
That's
now
amazing.
and I'm grateful for my ex-husband who,
Yeah.
would take the kids Wednesday
Sure.
and Thursday night so
Yeah.
that I could go to school. And even though there was no child support or financial support, he still helped in that way.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be grateful for that instead of be like, I got no child support. I got no
Yeah.
help. It was like, you know what? No, I wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
That was so like one of the best things I love about my life to this day is that I'm a mom. And
Yeah.
I just thought I can take care of him.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And so I really have let that empower me and kind of catapult me into striving and pushing to just continue to like be the best person I can be, raise my kids in that way,
Yeah.
the same kind of mindset, and also like not have any negative or bitterness towards him or anything, because I mean, he didn't know either. Like we were both just kind of,
Yeah.
figuring out life as you go kind of thing.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. The power of choosing that, right? Because it would be easy to slip into resentment and all that other stuff, right?
And those are such hard feelings
I
to
know,
carry.
right?
They're hard. They're hard to carry, and they suck to walk around life with.
Yeah.
And then you realize that you're not feeling any better about holding this resentment. And so I remember actually looking at him just like and saying, I forgive you
Wow.
for whatever.
Mhm.
I forgive you.
amazing.
And actually, thank you. Thank you for still showing up in the way that you have for our kids.
Yeah.
It's not,
Love it.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's, and it's like weird how we have expectations of people in our life. I want him to do more. I want him to be more, whatever. But I just thought that's selfish of me.
Yeah.
Like everyone gets to have the experience
Totally.
that your soul
Yeah.
needed to have in this life, And so it's like my kids are having their own experience with their dad, who he is. And he's a really sweet guy.
Great
he's
guy.
kind.
Yeah, sure.
He's,
Yep.
I know he loves our children, but they're having their own experience with him, and it's helping them shape their life, just like, my experience with him was too. So
yeah, what's the old saying? Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Boom.
Boom. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love that approach, and I love that you chose that path, because that's really served you so well.
It has.
So here you are, single mom, going to school. You eventually graduate from the University of Utah, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Yeah.
Might have took you a minute.
Took me
did
a
it.
long time, probably longest bachelor's degree in history. But I just knew that once I got that, it would
How long did it
catapult
take?
me.
You mind if I ask?
Okay, well,
Because I'll tell you how long it took me.
Really?
I bet mine took longer.
Oh my gosh.
I'm guessing.
I want to say, realistically, it probably took about 12, 14 years.
Okay. Mine took 11.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, hey, we're the same.
We're in the same.
Good.
Yeah. And I have to do the math, because I should know this number, but I'm like, because I think I started school initially around 2004.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm off. I think it was about 10, 11 years, because I
Yeah.
started in 2004.
Okay.
And then through pauses and
Yeah.
maybe 2 classes a semester
Sure,
or
right,
whatever. But I ended up graduating in 2014.
Okay.
So,
Hey,
Guess
it
it
doesn't
was
matter
about
how
10
long,
years.
you did it.
yeah.
And that's
I
amazing.
did. Yeah.
Good for
It
you.
was nice. Yeah, thanks.
And then you got involved with yoga. Yoga's been something you've really learned a lot about yourself, correct?
Yeah, yoga's been a massive blessing. When I did start school and was working full time and taking care of the kiddos, and really trying to be a present mom, but have all these responsibilities, right? Get homework done and all that. It's funny, my son had a friend and his mom, we'd have these play dates and everything. And at the time she had this incredible body, and I was like, oh, she's so muscular and lean and everything. What do you do for working out?
Yeah,
and she
what
was
is
like,
that?
I do yoga. And I'm like, what is yoga? I had never heard of it.
Yeah.
But so I started doing yoga, and I just realized how much better I felt about everything, my stress,
right.
the way I could process thoughts, the way my approach to life. And so I just became kind of a student, did yoga a long, long time. And then I decided, you know what, I think I want to learn how to teach. And just because of the impact that it had on my life. So I took my yoga teacher training through Dana Baptiste, who used to own Centered City Yoga in 2011. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's cool because a lot of the teachers that, was part of that studio, they've become friends. I mean, James Hardy was Adeline's guitar teacher for a while.
Really?
Scott Moore has been a great friend, and
that's-
I've done several retreats with him.
That's
It's
cool.
it's kind of cool. And
Yeah.
I noticed one thing that I like too is it kind of gave me a community, there were
okay.
friends that,
Yeah.
I mean, because you're all like-minded, right? You're
Yep.
trying to grow, you're trying to expand your life, your consciousness, your understanding of how you exist in the universe. So it really, provided a lot of spiritual and physical benefits for
Yeah.
me.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a yogi, if you will, but
No.
when I do it, it's amazing. It feels great and
you
clears
kinda
your
can't.
head.
It does. Yeah.
You
Well, and
know.
it's, I mean, yoga means union. So
Yeah.
it's really the union of mind, body, spirit, right? And it's the
Yeah.
only exercise that you do that really encompasses all three.
Yeah.
So,
And is it namaste mean the light in me sees the light in you?
yeah, basically. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Namaste.
Namaste,
Yeah.
Todd.
How cool is that? Yeah, you're definitely a light for sure.
Thank you.
Well, there's a lot. You've been through a lot, and you've worked your butt off, and then your kids have grown up now, and they're out of the house, and now it's you, and you're almost like, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes this publication of the Mill Creek Lifestyle magazine.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how did that even come about, and how is that even on your radar?
I'm going to say I'm going to get emotional. It kind of felt like an answer from God that I was praying for. And I had never even thought of doing a magazine, but it's weird because it's so at my wheelhouse. I used to get Oprah magazine, and it was my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Every month I was like, yay,
Yeah.
I would read her letter and all the articles, and I literally held on to every issue. But back in the day, the Nat Geo collectors,
Yeah.
I had the Oprah collection.
You did? Okay.
Oh yeah. But anyway, it's interesting. It was kind of just a pivotal moment in life that I had a great experience. I worked at Nightingale College for a while doing their partnerships, and just loved the community work that we started doing in these, smaller, more rural type communities. And it felt really impactful, and was time to kind of just shift away from that, and found another, job that I felt like was going to be another, kind of a step up the ladder, director of partnerships kind of thing, where I was senior manager in partnerships. And it was nothing like they said. And at the same time of learning this new kind of totally different type of role with a health informatics company, but working 100% remote. And now my kids leave home in the same year. My daughter had kind of gone to SUU and come back, and COVID, and, a little bit of a revolving door.
Yeah.
I was so isolated and so lonely.
Yeah.
And it was just like my house is deafening silent. And
yeah, that would be tough.
I just thought, oh my gosh, like I cried every night, and I was like, this can't be my life now. I used to love my life. Like when I was at Nightingale, I was like, gosh, I feel so grateful to be in this role.
Yeah.
But I felt like this weird kind of just nudge from the universe, like it's time for you to grow, take this other job and keep, expanding and everything. But man, when you take a job that doesn't align with you, which you think you do, there's a saying by Einstein, one of my favorites. And it's the whole, if you teach a fish, everyone's brilliant, but if you teach a fish to try to climb a tree, he'll grow up his whole life thinking that he was stupid. Yeah. And I really feel that, it's not to say there was anything negative about the company. They tried so hard to support me and to align me, but it just didn't fit.
Didn't fit with you.
And so I was home, isolated, hardly talked to people during the week. I thought I was getting into this role where I was building relationships, where it was heavily just through email, and it was just a lot of research. Yeah. And I was like, man, this is awful. And I remember just like one day, like having a breakdown, and I'm like, I think I'm in the wrong job, So I took a trip, actually, did a retreat with Scott Moore, yoga retreat last summer, to Italy. And I just wanted to fall back in love with life again, because I just got to this point where I hated everything about life. Yeah. And I loved it so much because I got to meet all these little shop owners and hear people's stories, like, oh, we've had this restaurant for, 5 generations, we make shoes, and my wife helps, and my daughter does social media. Like, it was just so cute. And I felt like I was just praying for an intervention, for something different. And literally I had a conversation with the current company, and I was like, I don't think it's a secret that I'm just not happy here, and right. She's like, well, so we kind of had a conversation, and one day I got just this inspiration and, kind of the nudge, and started the publication. And so, that's amazing. Felt like this is the craziest, scariest thing I'm ever doing. Right. And also I can't say no. I also can't not do it. Man. And it's interesting because it's when you go from the corporate environment where you have a salary and you've got benefits and, all this security to now I have to bring on everything and do all the things. Like all of a sudden your mind starts to just swim in fear and anxiety and all these things. I know now why I've been so aligned to this, and it really is to kind of actualize my potential, to really see the value that I have and that I hold within myself, For sure. And that I think it is through loving people, it's through seeing people. I mean, when I taught yoga, it was all about helping people feel seen in my class, and letting them know that they matter and that their energy and their presence in that class meant something. I'm doing it now through the publication.
I love
so
it.
It's
and I think one of your missions, if not the mission, is to just connect people, right?
It's to connect the community. Connect the community to their community.
I love
it's
that.
really cool as the different comments that I've gotten from different people, that have reached out since they've been getting the publication. They're like, I love this. And the reason I love it is because I'm knowing my neighbors now. I love hearing the stories. I love kind of just interacting with the community in a completely different way that just shows up every month that they're, on their mailbox. So.
I'm going to quote you. You said, when we act better towards others because we know each other, we then feel better about ourselves. I mean, I love that.
Thank you.
And again, I just love you're so passionate about what you do and making sure people feel seen.
Thank you.
You know, and
Yeah.
you can see it like in your magazine. I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here. Like it really is well done.
Thank you.
And so anyone listening to this, if you haven't seen the magazine, we're gonna show you how to do that eventually here in a minute. But I just really appreciate that. So you've been doing this not very long. What's your big vision of this thing? And is there more you want to do to this, or are you just kind of like in your wheelhouse with it where you're at now and just kind of trudging along?
I want it to grow.
Okay.
I want it to grow because then I can, share more stories, inspire more people, celebrate more people. I think that everyone deserves an opportunity to be seen, to be acknowledged. And it's really cool. You don't really know what stories will resonate with what people until they do.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I have an incredible writer on staff, Sheena Steedman. And, we always kind of talk through like, okay, here's this person. And so when I meet with people, I'm always like, tell me a little bit about you. Tell me, why are you doing this? Why are you an interior designer? Why are you a restaurant owner? Why are you, whatever. But then when you get to the nuts and bolts of it, we all have sometimes similar pain, the idea of struggle, the idea of not being able to make it, the idea of taking care of our family. We all have dreams and hopes and everything. And so, we always kind of like look through like, okay, how do we want to position this person and what story do we want to tell?
Sure. Yeah.
And just as even as I've been doing this, like some of the people that I've talked to, like I almost break down in tears because I'm just like, oh my gosh, okay, so now I'm a new business owner.
Yeah.
But your business has been going for a lot longer, but like, wow. Okay. So I guess everyone starts out this way of, can I make my mortgage this month?
Right.
Can am I going to be able to,
Totally.
survive and keep doing this? Because it feels like a passion that's been, I don't know, always kind of budding inside of me.
Yeah. Wow.
So I want it to grow. I want to be able to share more stories and, expand the distribution and, be able to highlight as many people as I can.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I hope this can help assist in that, because that's really, I'd love to see that just blow up for you. And I have no doubt that it will.
Thank you.
Because again, the passion you have behind it. And I think when you meet with people, they probably feel that and go, man, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, they do. It's cool when you go meet people and you build a relationship. I'm all about the relationship. That's why I'm doing this. It's because I want to support people. I want to support their business. I want to share their story. And the cool part to me is that I get to work with the most incredible partners now in the community, people that are also community minded, who also have a desire to, support other people and, through their, I can, Chris Ross, who's the owner of Helm on, State Street in Murray. Yeah. Incredible guy, father of 4 boys, but he, we talk about just the power of building relationships with people. And just when you can go in and he puts beautiful custom furniture in homes, your home is your sanctuary.
Yeah, totally.
And so for him to be able to go in and do his dream and his passion, for people, and then have them go, oh my gosh, we love it. We love how it looks or it feels or whatever. He gets to go home every night and lay his, bed on his head on his bed. And, his wife is, there with him, and they get to celebrate that this is the life we live. Yeah. But like, you get to, do what you do that so moves you and your mission and your message. And there's so many people out there like that. And so that's the beautiful thing, is when I connect with people that are also community minded and realize that there's a bigger, there's a bigger goal out there. You're going to work, but like, what are you really doing?
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think all of us have this gift that sometimes the only way it's realized is when we go through something really difficult. Yeah. Because I look at what I'm doing, I never in a million years would never dream I'd be doing this. Like, there's no way I would have saw this 30 years ago. There's no way. Yeah. And I look back, I'm like, I had to go through all those struggles in order for this to actually be what it is. Mm-hmm. And you look at your life, same thing, right?
That's the biggest thing, is I look back, and the cool thing about the publication is that it pulls from so many of the things that I've really loved about so many different jobs and so many different opportunities and careers that I've had. But yeah, there's no way I thought that I would ever own a magazine publication and be out. Yes, none. Yeah. But like, it's crazy because when I think about what I'm doing, I'm like, but you know what? I do remember back in the day, I thought it'd be fun to be Katie Couric, you
Right.
know, or to be Oprah, you know,
Yeah.
and I just to have the medium to,
Yeah.
you know, talk to people and engage and hear their story and
Yeah.
everything. And I thought this actually is, pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, your latest publication, the one in August here that
Yeah.
just came out,
Yeah.
it's all around mental health,
Yeah.
right? Talk a little bit about that. Why is that so important to you?
You know, unfortunately, I think COVID did a lot more damage than we probably want to acknowledge.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, one of the biggest things that I wanted to do was create community again. And I think kids have really struggled through it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, just watching, you know, my daughter was thriving at SUU. And then I moved her home during spring break, you know, that year because she was like, we don't know what to do,
Yeah,
right?
what are
We
we
were
gonna do?
scared. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Mid-March, the world shuts down. But I think, and so then, you know, fast forward a couple months later, she's crying on the couch. What's going on? You know,
Yeah.
and none of us have any idea what to expect. Well, I still feel like, especially younger kids, like that was a really traumatic thing for them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, adults, we understand what normal life is like, but for them, like some of them, their first image of life is with masks.
Yeah,
And
right.
everyone's sick and don't touch people and don't hug. And there's all this, you know.
And everything's shut down.
Yeah. And I think
everyone's
it really
fighting,
affected people. And you
everyone's-
can't hug and
Yeah.
engage anymore because now we have germs. We didn't apparently have germs before that, but now we do,
right.
you know. But I just think that
But it's true.
and
Yeah.
politics have gotten so divisive.
Yeah.
And it just feels like there's so many reasons that people are just shoving hate out into the world.
Yeah.
And it's destroying us.
Yeah.
It's making us sick. And
I
so,
agree.
you know, as I've talked to different people putting the kids issue together, which is, you know, such a passion topic for me, I just thought we need to love our kids. Kids need parents. I mean,
Yeah.
with watching my own kids grow up at 15, that was kind of a hard year for them because they're
Yeah.
just learning their own identity, right? I mean,
Yeah.
14, 15, they're kind of like figuring out who they are.
Yeah.
And without me really like paying attention to my children and knowing them and going, they're off and why are they off? And
Yeah.
how can I love them more? How can
Right.
I love them the way that they need me to be, to love them?
Absolutely.
That's really what it comes down to because your kids are just their own personality, right? But I mean, in parenting my own children, I was like, okay, I figured out my daughter's empathic. Oh my gosh, that's why she's doing what she is because she's feeling all these intense feelings that are not hers, but she thinks they're hers and she doesn't know why.
Yeah.
So all of her friends at school come in with whatever emotions they are all day. Wow, that's a lot for a 15-year-old.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, so I had to teach her what that was like. You know, my son had his struggles. And so I just think, and it was crazy because the friends that my son was hanging out with at the time, I had to call his parents and just say, or their parents and just, you know, hey, did you know that, you know, the boys or the kids are not really, you know, doing the most productive things, we'll say, you know, with time or whatever, not going into details or anything, but, and they would say, well, we had no idea. Thanks.
Yeah.
You know, and I've just realized like life is so expensive. You got most of the time 2 parents working. Everyone's just trying to do their best, right?
Yeah, everyone's trudging
And
through. Yeah.
kids are unfortunately, I think, taking kind of the brunt of that because they they need attention. I mean, when I was a kid, what did I want? I want time with my parents.
Yeah.
And so I hung out with my dad because at least helping him outside in the yard, I still got attention with him, right?
Yeah, sure.
Nowadays it's like, well, you know, how are we loving our kids? And so
Yeah.
the issue really is about take time to slow down and be with your kids and get to know them and really hear them,
Yeah.
really help them feel seen. And so the issue is dedicated to mental health because I think that there's a lot of kids that are really struggling in silence, that they don't really know that, you know, how they're feeling isn't okay and it's
Yeah.
not right, and that there is help and there is resources.
Sure.
So, you
Love
know,
that.
there's a couple articles that we mentioned, providers in the community that are,
Yeah.
you know, kind of offering some unique services. But there's honestly so many partners now that I'm working with that are all mental health based practitioners of some kind that are out there to help you, to support you, your family. You know, you don't have to know it all, but you do have to be awake enough to like show your kid, point your kid to the right direction
sure.
and go, okay, he's struggling or she's
Yeah.
struggling. And,
Yeah.
you know, here's someone that can help kind of
Yeah.
thing.
No, it's great. You're doing that. And It's a great great magazine, but there are a lot of great articles in that
Thank you.
publication.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, I would recommend anyone reading that, especially if you do have a son or a daughter who's struggling. You're maybe not sure what to
Acting
do.
different.
Right,
Yeah,
what do we do?
just not engaging the
Yeah.
family, like kind of lethargic at
what's
dinner.
going on?
What's
Yeah.
going on? Hey,
Yeah.
let's take a walk around the block. And I just,
Yeah.
I think in a way we overcomplicate things anymore.
Totally.
And it's really like, let's just be simplistic. What are the fundamental rules of family, right? Just spend time together. Hey, come cook with me in the kitchen tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go buy some ice cream together. I
Yeah.
mean, just something that you can do. Let's make a game. Let's, play in the backyard. Hey, let's go for a walk, or a hike, or want to spend time together this weekend. I mean, just there's so many little ways you can
Right.
just give your son or
Yeah.
daughter attention, time, presence.
For sure.
And that will infuse so much love and just worth and,
Yeah.
a feeling of, satisfaction and meaning. So,
Well, I love it. And I love the magazine. Like I said, it's top notch. Anyone listening to this right now, it really is the real deal. So appreciate your passion behind it and what you're doing.
Thank you.
And helping connect the community. I think it's great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I got a couple more things for you.
Okay, fine.
I want to read this quote to you and just get your thoughts on it. Okay, it's by James Allen. He's famous for writing "As a Man Thinketh" back in 1903.
Okay.
Back in the day,
Yes.
way back.
Right, way back.
But I love this quote, and it kind of reminds me of what you've been through. It says, "Let a man or a woman rejoice when he or she is confronted with obstacles, for it means that he or she has reached the end of some particular line of indifference or folly, and is now called upon to summon up all his or her energy and intelligence in order to eradicate themselves and to find a better way. That the powers within them are crying out for greater freedom, for enlarged exercise and scope."
Wow.
Right? I mean, doesn't that describe your life?
Yeah. Yeah, it really
And
does.
what we've just kind of mapped out there
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, it really does.
It's as if your body was crying out for more. Like this, I know I'm built for more here.
Yeah. Well, and I think
You
that's
know?
the difference of really listening to yourself. Because I like to say, courage and fear are the same thing.
Yeah.
The difference is one has action.
I
And
like that. I've never heard that before. That's cool.
well, if you think about it, it's
Yeah.
like courage is hard. It's scary.
I know. Yeah. Right.
Oh my gosh. It's like, wait, do what? Leave my comfort zone and my job
Yeah.
and go start a publication. But I have grown so much. And I
Yeah.
have to say the thing I think I've learned the most and I've grown through the biggest is just the love I have for myself now.
Yeah.
And the way I appreciate myself and the way I take care of myself now. It's so different.
Yeah.
And it's so much more gentle, and I hope I can continue to do this work forever because it's
Yeah.
made me such a better version of myself,
Yeah.
to some degree. But you really have to choose what path you're going to allow your thoughts to go down,
Right.
So yeah, I love that because when you do hear that soul calling, you can either ignore it or you can walk towards it.
Yeah.
And so I have always just been that one to kind of walk head straight into the challenge. And it's kind of been, the theme of my life. And,
Yeah.
but see, pick the roses and smell them
Sure.
along the way and
Yeah,
try to
right.
find as much joy and
Yeah.
passion and meaning and all that as you can. Because at the end of the day, point out one life that's not hard.
Right.
One person that's just had it easy. And if they do have it easy, they're not happy
They're not happy
because they don't have a sense of self.
Yep.
They don't have a sense of
Yeah.
who they are. And there's so much, gratifying pleasure and
Yeah.
oh my gosh, look at what I
Yeah.
did, kind of thing. So
Yeah, I saw there's a quote out of the book "Live Your Life in Crescendo" by Stephen Covey and Cynthia Covey.
Oh, cool.
It goes like this: we never know how strong we are until that hidden strength is forced to come forward.
Yeah.
Like we're almost forced to realize how strong we are. Like, okay, you don't think you're strong? Well, this is gonna make you realize you are.
Yeah, totally.
Even though it sucks going through it,
Guess
right?
what? Life just got a little harder.
Wow,
Yeah.
I love that. If there's someone listening to your voice right now, Julie, that's struggling, they're in a dark place, and they're just right now listening to you,
Yeah.
and they're feeling in a bad spot. What would you tell that one person right now?
Oh my gosh. First of all, call that person in your life that you can call and just tell them, I need love right now. I need struggle. Secondly, I would say pull out anything Joe Dispenza, because I love Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He is the most incredible,
He really
inspiring
is.
guy.
He is amazing.
But you're not alone. You're not alone in
Yeah.
your struggle. You're not alone in your thoughts. I guarantee half of the people that you could walk out your door and see at a grocery store or whatever have had those same thoughts.
Yep.
And they're temporary.
Yeah.
So don't sit in them for too long. But I would say call a friend that that,
Yeah.
and just say, I need you right now. I think so many times we do the opposite. When we need people, we get embarrassed and we don't want to let people know that we're
Right.
struggling. And
Yeah.
so we don't reach out. It's when
Yeah.
you kind of like
Start to isolate.
pull away. Yeah. And that's the opposite of what you need to do. And
Yeah.
so I would say for someone also, like if you haven't talked to a friend or a family member that you are used to talking to, or what, call people.
Yeah.
Let them know that you're thinking about them too. I kind of have this thing like, you're driving and you have a random thought and something pops up and you see something that reminds you of somebody in your life. Call them.
Call 'em.
Hey, I have a thing. You know what? When I
Yeah.
think of someone, I call them and let them know. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
Just sending love and light or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you want to say.
Oh, I love that.
So,
Great advice. Thank you for sharing that. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, if someone wants to reach out to you, Julie, and get to know you better and to follow the magazine and to
Yeah.
find out how they can actually get copies of it and get on board with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
So my information's on the website and it's citylifestyle.com/Mill Creek.
Okay.
My cell phone number is there, call, text,
Okay.
and let me even ask if you need a friend at all in any way, call me.
Yeah.
I will be your friend. I will remind you of your greatness. I will
That's
remind
awesome.
you of your power, of your worth, that you are an incredible human, because I truly believe that.
I'm going to call you every day now.
You should.
Hey, can you just remind me real quick of who I am?
Yes.
Thanks, Julie. Okay, talk to you later.
Exactly, yeah.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I love that. That's beautiful.
But no, seriously,
Yeah.
I want people to know their worth, that
Yeah.
they matter.
Yeah.
And so, my website, citylifestyle.com/Mill Creek.
Okay.
My email, my phone number is on there.
Okay.
They can opt in and subscribe to get it digitally, in their
Gotcha.
inbox if they want.
Okay.
They can always peek on it, just on the website, the new
Yeah.
issues or whatever. They can also send me an email and say, hey, we'd like to be added to the publication. It's a direct mail magazine. Kind of goes out in the hyper community area of Sugar House, Mill Creek, and Holiday.
Okay.
It goes to residences and also some businesses in the area as well.
Nice.
And it just, again, speaks of lifestyle. But if you would like to get a publication every month, I'd be happy to add you to the mailing list. You can live in Cottonwood Heights, St. George. I have friends in Colorado that are getting
Nice.
it. I mean,
Nice.
it's meant for you
Yeah.
if it feels like something you want to be part of.
Okay.
I put my heart and soul into it. So
Love it.
yeah.
Well, we'll put that link in the show notes when we go live so people can just click
Awesome.
right on it, get right to the website, and then they'll have easy
Awesome.
access to
Cool.
it. So
Yeah,
we'll
that'd
make
be
sure
great.
that works.
Thank
and so,
you.
but yeah, I encourage anyone listening to this right now to go take a look at least. Go take a look at it. You'll be surprised how amazing it is. And at the same time, after listening to Julie's amazing story in her life and what she's overcome, how would you not want to be a part of this, in my opinion?
Todd, you're
I'm serious.
a sweetheart.
Like it's amazing. So I can't thank you enough for spending some time with me today. It was a great conversation. We both got a little emotional at times.
Yeah.
I love your passion. I love the way you carry yourself.
Thank you.
And I hope this will help you in any way. But more importantly, I think the overall message that I took from this is that I matter and that people care about me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the publication is so beautiful, because that's your whole thing.
Thank
I want you to connect with the community to realize you're not alone.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah. We need each other.
Yeah.
We need each
So,
other. And I mean, if
Taylor.
you think about it, we all take care of each other,
For
right?
sure.
When
Yeah.
you get a call,
Yep.
whatever you're doing, a plumber,
Yeah.
whatever, get to take care of each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's support each other.
Yeah,
Love on each other more.
that's right.
That's what I say.
Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Todd. This has been so wonderful.
Cool.
It's so nice to spend
Yeah.
some time with
It's
you.
been fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, guys, there you go. I told you were in for a good one today. Julie Janke, the Mill Creek City Lifestyle magazine publication. Check it out. You'll love it. And it's right there in the show notes. If you have a loved one who's struggling, it could be a son or a daughter or a spouse or a boyfriend, girlfriend, mom or dad. It doesn't matter. If you don't know how to talk to them, send them a link to this episode and it'll break the ice. Just say, listen to Julie's story, and then I'm going to follow back up with you. And it's a great way to break the ice. So I challenge you all to do that, because everyone needs to hear from everyone. And so I hope that you'll do that. So thanks to my sponsors. Again, thanks for everyone listening and sharing these amazing stories. I love you guys. Until next time, everyone, take care.